This is high-speed chess. That's what you're watching.
So today we're going to be debating what is better, the old school or the newer modern boxers. We have a video I want to react to. You guys know my stance if you've been following me on social media. Without further ado, I want to get straight into this video though.
Imagine this, 2024, and throw him in the ring against Tyson Fury.
You don't want to do that.
Or picture Sugar Ray Robinson stepping into the modern welterweight division, facing Terence Crawford
You don't want to do that.
or Errol Spence. Would these old school legends dominate today's fighters, or would modern training, sports science, and new fight strategies expose them?
So I hope we answer this question by the end of the video. And I want to be very blunt, right? I don't want to dance around it, right? I want to get I want him to be straight up with me. Sugar Ray Robinson is going to dominate. I want to hear a straight up answer. If not, I'm going to give you guys my straight up answer and you guys are not going to like it.
Welcome to Back to Boxing. Before we start comparing eras, we need to understand why the old school guys were absolute monsters in the ring. And it starts with one word: toughness. Let's start with one of the
They were so tough, man. The new fighters, man, they just get hit and they fall.
biggest differences between old school fighters and today's champions: their activity level. Fighters today step into the ring maybe 2-3 times a year, and that's considered busy. But back in the day, these guys were fighting every few weeks, sometimes even multiple times a month. Take Sugar Ray Robinson, one of the greatest of all time. In 1941 alone, he fought 10 times, and that wasn't even his busiest year.
Dog. Canelo Alvarez. First of all, Canelo doesn't have to fight 10 times a year because of his financial situation, which is the beautiful thing in boxing today. The guys are finally being compensated, but he doesn't have the luxury to just fight whoever he finds off the street. So we could just do a simple search on Sugar Ray Robinson. I was actually looking at this before the video. This wants to load. Can we load this? Hello. Here we go. Sugar Ray Robinson. We'll go to 1941. In 1941, Sugar Ray Robinson. Let's see. He starts off fighting a guy who's 0-1. Tony Avak. I don't know. This guy, Tony, was 0-1. Why is my computer running so slow? Finished his career 6-10. Retired in the same year Sugar Ray Robinson fought him. Okay. That's not impressive. That is basically, he basically didn't even fight somebody. This guy went down there. He lost in the first round. He fought another guy 33-55, Frankie Wallace, beat him in the first round. These two fights, they were basically not even fights. These were just guys off the street who were doing boxing just to cover the water bill, right? They were not paying their bills with boxing. They were just covering small minor bills. He was actually on a 3-fight losing streak, almost 6-fight losing streak if he didn't have a draw. Another guy, 54-17, 14-19, 46-19, 29-10, 45-11, 46-12, 43-40, 74-31, 20-29. Come on, I'm saying dates. I'm saying years on the calendar now. 2029. That is a year. What am I saying? Bro. Victor Trozzi, 2029. Please load, because we got it. Like, these are not fights. These are guys these are not fighters. These are guys they're not boxing every day. They're not. These are guys who box maybe after work. They might get some work in on the weekends whenever they're off, just to cover the car note, right? Just to cover a hole they had in the house, a leakage in the sink system. I don't know. But these guys are not full-time boxers, and I don't know why this isn't loading. Here we go. Victor Trozzi. He was 20-29, finished his career 20-39. Look at this guy. He was on a 3-fight losing streak when Ray Robinson beat him. And then when Ray Robinson beat him, he went on to lose every other fight after that. I'm going to ask you guys, would y'all rather see this in boxing? Would y'all rather see Canelo fight guys who are on 4-fight losing streaks, if that means we could see Canelo every month? Or would y'all rather see him fight 2-3 elite fighters a year? You guys let me know.
Armstrong? He defended his welterweight title 27 times in less than 2 years.
So we know those 27 title defenses in those 2 years, those guys were trash too, right? Right. We know those guys, they were trash too, right? I don't got to pull that up, right? Okay.
That's more fights than some modern champs have in their entire careers. And why did they fight so often? Simple. There were no million-dollar paydays, no sponsorship deals, no luxury training camps. If you didn't fight, you didn't eat. These guys stayed in shape year-round because there was no time for layoffs, no tune-up fights, just pure survival mode.
No tune-up fights. You're kidding me. Victor Trozzi is not a tune-up fight. What is he? Is this fight of the century? Was this for Undisputed? Victor Trozzi don't even got a picture on BoxRec. He only boxed for 5 years. Sugar Ray Robinson brutalized him in the first round. This isn't a tune-up fight. Okay. So yeah, they had no tune-up fights. Victor Trozzi was just the toughest, meanest guy in the bar that night.
But here's the thing. You don't fight that much unless your body is built for war. And that brings us to another.
Nobody's body is built for war. That's why a lot of these guys, they kind of operate and function the way they do, right? So nobody's body is built for war.
Key difference. Their training. If you think today's fighters train hard.
By the way, they were more active, but they were fighting a lot and not as many years. Even Sugar Ray, how long did he fight? He actually had a pretty long career, 25 years. That's actually pretty decent. But like, if you look at Muhammad Ali debuted in like what, 63, and people were saying he was out of his prime in 73, right? So yeah, they were fighting a lot. They were taking a lot of punishment, but yeah, they did not have very long careers.
You haven't seen what the old school legends put themselves through. These guys didn't have high-tech training facilities.
I'll say that again. These guys did not have high-tech training facilities. They did not.
Sports science or customized recovery plans. What they had was pure grit.
Pure grit don't win boxing matches. Pure grit does not win boxing matches. Jumping rope will not beat the best nutritionist on the planet. It won't.
An insane work ethic and an old school.
What is an old school mindset? Like, I don't get when we're saying insane work ethic and toughness. First, that's just a metric that cannot be measured, right? And in the same breath, I'm gonna say, like, are we just saying the new fighters today aren't tough or don't have a crazy work ethic? Either way, like I said, I don't know what old school mindset means. I really don't know what that means. But bro, jumping rope for 3 hours is not gonna beat the training facilities and routines we have today. This type of training is obsolete, right? That's why fighters don't train like this anymore. It's obsolete.
Mindset that pushed their bodies to the absolute limit. Take Rocky Marciano, undefeated heavyweight champion. He ran 7 miles a day, not in running shoes, but in army boots. Imagine the impact on his legs. He chopped wood for hours, believing it would make his punches harder. No fancy equipment, no shortcuts.
So that's not impressive. That's actually quite concerning. That I feel like that would have a significant impact on his performance and how effective he would be inside the ring. Running 7 miles a day, not in running shoes, but army boots. That's actually quite concerning. I don't think that's safe. I don't think that's healthy. You guys can call it soft. You can say, oh, well, that's how tough we were. He would not be able to properly move around the ring against any capable heavyweight if he's running 7 miles a day in army boots. That is actually quite concerning.
Just brutal, raw training. And then there's Roberto Duran.
Roberto Duran, everyone. Give it up. The guy who quit inside the ring. We don't talk about that. Right? I want to see what he says about Duran. But let's remember, Duran was so tough. He was so tough. He walked out of the ring in the middle of a fight. He didn't wait to get to the corner. He didn't take a knee. Right? Duran was in the middle of a fight and said, no, I can't do it anymore. But remember, guys, this was the toughest era of boxing, right? Fighters don't do that today. They did that back then, though.
He didn't just train hard. He trained like a monster. He'd spar hundreds of rounds before a fight, rotating through fresh sparring partners while he just kept going. No breaks, no
That is physically impossible. The human biology, the biology of a human's body will not allow such. He's not sparring hundreds of rounds on fight week, just rotating partners for 12 rounds over and over. You're exaggerating it. He probably sparred 4 rounds, light technical, brought in another guy. 4 rounds, light technical. He was not sparring hundreds of rounds. The human biology has not evolved that much since then. It hasn't. Or devolved. I don't know what you want to call it, but you guys always over exaggerate with these older guys. That is physically impossible. Superman couldn't even do that.
Easy rounds. His philosophy was simple. If the gym was hell, the fight would feel easy. These guys weren't worried about overtraining or optimal rest periods. Their mindset was simple. Train until you break, then train some more.
And that's why a lot of these guys are God rest their soul, because some of them are gone today, but that's why a lot of these guys did not have the most satisfying lifestyle outside of boxing. A lot of these guys had to retire after 10, 9, 12 years. Like how long did Rocky Marciano fight? He fought like 7, 8 years, right? And what did he have to show for it? Well, train until you break and train some more. That is a terrible mindset to have. That is dangerous in the sport of boxing. That's why Muhammad Ali was developing Parkinson's at such an early age. That's terrible. It's not good. That's not cool. That's not impressive. It's not efficient inside the ring, and it's terrible outside the ring. You don't get to enjoy your life and what's to come after it. So yeah, you could say it's tough all you want, but it's still not efficient inside the ring.
And that's why they could fight 15 rounds at full speed without slowing down. Modern fighters focus on efficiency, but the old school guys, they built themselves into machines through sheer willpower. Even imagine. Now, let's be fair. Boxing has evolved, and today's fighters have a clear advantage in some areas. Modern training techniques, recovery science, and strategy have changed the way fighters perform. One of the biggest differences? Athleticism. Step into any top boxing gym today, and you'll see something very different from the old school training methods. Fighters aren't just running miles in heavy boots or chopping wood. They're working with elite strength coaches, doing explosive power training and fine-tuning their bodies for maximum speed and efficiency. Take Canelo Alvarez. His training isn't just about throwing punches for hours. He does resistance band drills, plyometrics, and weighted shadow boxing to make every punch snap with explosive force. This kind of explosive training has changed the game. Fighters today don't just rely on toughness, they maximize their athletic potential. And now, let's talk about defense. Back this. They'd take punches to give punches. But modern defense? It's on a completely different level. Take Floyd Mayweather, for example. His entire career was built on not getting hit. Pernell Whitaker? The guy made elite fighters miss all night long. Even Tyson Fury at heavyweight uses footwork and head movement that fighters from the past simply didn't develop to the same level. This isn't to say old school fighters didn't have defense, but today's fighters have more advanced defensive strategies. They use angles better, they clinch smarter, and they don't absorb as much damage. But here comes the real question. If we dropped some of the greatest old school fighters into today's era, would they still dominate? Some legends were so good, so ahead of their time, that they'd thrive in any era. Here are a few who would still dominate today. Sugar Ray Robinson.
No. Floyd Mayweather, 12-0. Manny Pacquiao, stoppage. Terrence Crawford, stoppage. De La Hoya stops him. Pernell dances around him. No. Had no technique, had no defense, had no layers, had no dimensions. No. He was a pure athlete. He was really tall. He was about 6 feet tall. He had really fast hands. He had decent power. And he was really privileged to fight in an era where most guys just boxed on the side. No, he's not beating Terrence Crawford. He's not dominating today. He's 91-0. Throw that in the trash. No, not dominating.
Speed, power, footwork, defense. He had it all. Even with today's athleticism, he'd be a problem for anyone. Muhammad Ali. Ali wasn't...
No. I love Ali. God rest his soul. Ali's a great fighter. He's probably the greatest heavyweight. Objectively, he's the greatest heavyweight. He's too small. He's too small. He was 206 pounds in his prime. He's a cruiserweight. You throw him in the heavyweight era today, no. Ali would need some type of training. He would have to get adjusted to this modern era. He would have to become a totally new fighter. Ali's style was predicated on reflexes and getting away with his speed in a very reckless way, right? Because most fighters were slow. Most fighters didn't have great IQ. Most fighters didn't have footwork. And most fighters were about 5'11" to 6 feet tall. You drop him into an era where you have a guy who's 6'5", 250 pounds, who is still faster than those guys who were 6 foot, 190 pounds. He knows how to move his feet way better than those guys, and he punches way harder. Ali's going to get knocked out by Daniel Dubois. That's just the type of style he fought. That moving back with your chin all in the air, no. He's going to move back. Dubois is going to reach right over him, right over his shoulders. He's going to knock his head off. That's just a fact. That's the way Ali fought. He fought with his hands by his hips. Look at him right now. Look at it. Look on the screen. I'm not making this up. That type of fight, Daniel Dubois has the athleticism. He has the size. And he has the speed and power to end the fight right here. Muhammad Ali's style does not translate to 2025 at all.
Just quick for a heavyweight. He had a fight IQ.
He was quick. He was really quick. I think he would be the fastest and quickest by far. And I know a lot of you guys are going to say, well, Jerry, Alexander... Don't compare Ali to Alexander Usyk. In terms of greatness, legacy, impact, Ali's great. He's beautiful. He's perfect. In terms of boxing, Alexander Usyk is just way better in terms of taking down larger fighters because he doesn't move back in a straight line. He knows how to make and take angles to close the distance, and he has a perfect pace and perfect shot variety for chopping down trees, right? Alexander Usyk was made to take down larger fighters. Muhammad Ali moving backwards in a straight line, that is not going to get you past an Anthony Joshua or Daniel Dubois.
That would still be elite today. Roberto Duran,
I could see. I think Duran he's going to be a lot more successful than Ali and what's my boy's name? Sugar Ray Robinson. Duran would he would lose to Shakur. Probably lose to Tank. He'll probably lose to Haney. Duran never fought anybody with great feet at 135. Duran always fought a guy who was just moving back and just sitting there with him. Duran never was tested at 135. I think the first time Duran fought somebody who was willing to move was Sugar Ray Leonard in the second fight. Sugar Ray Leonard danced circles around Duran. He didn't even make an attempt to cut off the ring because it was something he truly hadn't seen in his career before. He never seen a fighter move backwards for majority of the fight. Duran was great, but Shakur's gonna beat him pretty convincingly. Haney with the right game plan to beat him, and Tank would beat him as well. Lomachenko would also beat him. Floyd would also beat him. Pacquiao would also beat him. But Duran he'll be pretty good today. Would he be able to move up to like middleweight and stuff? No. He wouldn't be successful at 147 or middleweight or 154. But at lightweight, he might get ranked.
His ability to fight on the inside, outside, and in multiple weight classes makes him dangerous in any era. But not every old-school fighter would transition smoothly. Some had styles that might not work as well today. Jack Dempsey, a pure brawler, but might struggle against modern defensive masters. Rocky Marciano, insanely tough, but today's heavyweights are way bigger and stronger. Joe Louis, one of the greatest ever, but his slower footwork might be an issue against today's ultra-fast fighters. So, what's the final answer? Could old-school fighters survive in today's era? Yes, but with some adjustments. The truly elite guys, Robinson, Ali, Duran, they'd adapt because their skills were ahead of their time. But boxing has evolved. Fighters today are bigger, faster, and more scientific. Some old-school legends would struggle with modern athleticism and defensive tactics, but at the end of the day, a great fighter is a great fighter, no matter the era. Legends find a way to win, and they fought. Boxing's not a spreadsheet, it's a back alley opera. Yeah, today's fighters are smarter, fitter, better, but the old school guys, they fought for more than belts. They fought because they had something to prove to the world, to their fathers, to the voices in their heads that said they'd never be enough. You can't download that. You can't optimize it. And when the lights are too bright and the crowd's too loud, That's the difference between a fighter and a survivor. Let me know what you think.
So he did answer it. He believes that some guys would survive. Like I said, Ali, Ray Robinson, Duran, they would not be too successful, especially Ali. Ali's just too small. He's 206 pounds in his prime. If you want to take Ali when he was about 225 pounds when he came back after his license was suspended, that's even worse because his reflexes were out the door. He was taking punishment from a guy in, not Ernie Terrell, what's my boy's name? Not Cleveland Williams, it was Ernie Shavers, right? So I don't see any of these guys really posing much of a threat. I think a lot of the older guys think, oh, Duran's gonna come into this era because he was so tough, he was so strong, he knocked out everybody, he fought nobody at 135. He never fought anybody who was dynamic or versatile in boxing at 135. Shakur Stevenson is gonna have a field day with Duran, right? I think his strength is going to be a bit troublesome for Shakur, but outside of that, he's going to have an absolute field day with Duran. Duran can't cut off the ring against anybody who's moved their feet. He never fought anybody like that. Sugar Ray Robinson, he's just obsolete. He fought with his hands down. His speed and power may be a bit troublesome, but fighting with your hands at your hips and not being able to develop a high guard or slip a proper punch or set up any real shots is going to be an issue. We got to admit, boxing has evolved. Even from the 2010s, the 2000s, and 90s, boxing has evolved compared to 2025. 2025 is the pinnacle, it's the peak of mankind and boxing, right? Just across the board, mankind is we're on a, and we're going up. We're at its pinnacle. This is where the human society, the human species, us as a race, we're at our best right now. So I'm going off and speaking more philosophical, but I believe boxers today would have their way with the old school guys. You guys in the comments, let me know, how do y'all feel about it? Do you think there are some guys who could come in today and dominate? You guys let me know in the comments below.